We have like a visual aid for you guys today. Everyone else brought one, so. So what you guys just saw here was the cup game. A really simple, basic game. Anyone can play it, usually. But the reason I started with that is because I wanted to give you guys a visual illustration of how simple things like recreational activity can bring people together and can start a conversation. That was actually a game that I played with 8 children on my first day of nannying for them 5.5 years ago. I no longer work for them, but I did for quite some time, and I'll tell you much more about them later in the conversation today. But it was a great way for me to break the ice with them, to start relationship, to get them laughing and talking. And that same thing can kind of transpire into adult relationships as well. Think of team building experiences, really cheesy, trust games you have to play on the first day of camp, those kinds of things. What it does is it gets people talking. It opens up doors for honesty and trust, and it creates intimacy and love in dynamic relationships. And this is, in case you guys didn't know, these are the kids. So let's take a little bit of a U-turn now, and we'll have a bit of a tiny French lesson. Let's look at the word community. It stems from the old French word communette, which means to be reinforced by its source. Let's think about that for a minute. How fantastic is that? Some of the strongest and most vibrant cities and nations are built and connected on vibrant communities. So basically, we are the particles that make up the fibers that make up the whole. Our tone sets the stage for everything else thereafter, but what if our tone is inaudible? And what if our communities are disconnected? Now, I'm sure for those of you that know me, or don't know me, perhaps you suspected that I would talk about Yellowcake, my clothing line, or possibly even maybe Buzz and Growl, the sewing co-op that I'm starting this summer. But I'm not. You might even think I'm talking about Project Runway. I'm not. But to give you the skinny, so not to disappoint, yes, Tim really is that nice, Heidi really is that pretty, Casanova is a drama queen. It is much harder than it looks, and Ivy really isn't that bad. What I'm actually here to talk to you about is building community through artists, and vice versa. Too often, guards, dishonesty, and sometimes even the best intentions of professionalism get in the way of building honest, healthy, and valid relationships. But without solid relationship, business, progress, and development are more challenging. This impedes on the growth of the community, which artists play a large part in sustaining economically, socially, and recreationally. And I'm speaking today of the value and importance on vulnerability and honesty in relationship and how that can further the arts. And in turn, the arts can facilitate greater community and vice versa. And I can explain this through examples. This is my father at 19, just after arriving in Guatemala. Apparently, they gave every immigrant a pair of hot pants. My father's a home builder. He's a craftsman. He is a master with wood and architecture. He is a self-made man, arriving with nothing but the shirt on his back and those shorts. He started his own company to support a family of 12 brothers and sisters, his own wife and 3 children, a company that he still has today, some 33 years later. But he didn't achieve all this without the help and encouragement and support of his community and his employers. He started a menial job, laying bricks and transporting glass. And when his main employer, Mr. Martinez, saw the tenacity that my father had, he saw to it that my dad was moved up in rank and up even further, and finally encouraged my father to start his own business. But had Mr. Martinez not done this for my father, he may have just kind of fallen into file with other men there, maybe never succeeded. And you might not today see this well-fed, well-educated artist before you. Trust me, I've gained some weight since Christmas. These next slides are some of my closest friends and family. And though none are blood related, these relationships are of the caliber to be named as such. And I should warn you, I'm a crier, and it's been an emotional week, so I might cry for things. And you can too, that's okay. Meet the O'Keeffes. They are the richest people I know, with the most humblest of coin purses. Yet they give as if they had every resource and dime at their fingertips, because they love with such honesty, integrity, and transparency. This is April, Dan, Emma, and Liam. And recently, Beck. Fist pumping baby in bathtub. Is that like the cutest thing you've ever seen? I met the O'Keeffes some 5, maybe 6 years ago, and I've known them for what feels like 20 years of my life. I consider them family. April's like my sister. Her children are like my own. Her parents are like grandparents to me. I never had any. They all passed before I was born. So I really count myself lucky to know them. And you definitely should make it a point to as well if you can. They allowed me to live a life with them amidst the embarrassing moments, the personal truths, the momentous occasions, and sometimes the difficult arguments. And awkward. But I've been fortunate enough to be at the receiving end of their awesomeness, because I immediately felt at ease with them, and they allowed me into their home, into the hearts with their family and their children. Their way of living openly, honestly, and transparently shaped who I am as an artist, who I am as a businesswoman, a daughter, a friend, sister, etc. And this way of truly sharing life has opened countless doors to new friendships, opportunities, and growth that might not have otherwise been possible when guards are at full tilt and armor is locked. Do you guys remember Cheers? The place where everybody knows your name? The place where Lillian and Frasier, everyone knew about their marital troubles? The place where everyone knew that Sam and Diane had the hots for each other? The place where no matter how dense Woody was, everyone still loved him? Isn't that what we desire most? For people to know us by name, to care about our well-being. There are a few commonalities across all races, creeds, and sects. One of this is the desire to be loved. The second is the need to feel alive, to be motivated, inspired, and provoked to emotion. And art does that, and more. So through investing in someone relationally and honestly, both needs are fulfilled. Now meet the Lucianos. That's Marie, who you just saw up here. Sorry, Marie. A typical family, perhaps conservative by definition in the clothes that they wear, the cars that they drive, but radical in the way that they love. Meet Lisa, Dan, Josh, Sarah, Jenna, Kate, Erin, Marie, Danny, and Bobby. 3 of them are which are adopted. I nannied for them when they first adopted their 2 youngest, Sarah and Josh, from Central America, which is where my family is from. I put their kids through diapers. I cleaned up their vomit. I was vomited on. I taught them how to walk, taught them how to talk, how to use forks and spoons, how to say please and thank you, how to wipe their bottoms when they were done naked number 2. And they've been through a lot with me as well. They invested time, effort, and even finances in me as a person and an artist because they knew me fully, openly, and truthfully. And this honest interaction spurred them on to support almost every step of my career, from the day I started design school to the day I came home from filming Project Runway. I've been there when their kids were sick, when their daughters had boy trouble, when Lisa was diagnosed with cancer, and when her father passed. Every minutia and milestone they openly shared with me. This too has shaped me and behooved me as a person. Now, with this kind of transparent living, there are some notable risks. There's rejection, there's misunderstanding, and like all things, with great gain may also come great loss. So Lisa is as much a part of my family as I am theirs, and with her current struggle with her disease, it is brutally painful to share that as well. But, there's a big but here. It is the depth and sincerity of these relationships that propel artists to great things and noble cause, which in turn nurtures vibrancy in the community. It is the irreplaceable blend of joy, pain, happiness, and everything else in between that are the building blocks of each community. It's the meaning of shared life, and that's what it's meant for, isn't it, right? Risks though there may be, they are risks worth taking. And in doing so, perhaps you will meet another that can relate. A like personality who understands your hurt, shares your success, or relates to your predicament. So this is a little bit of a diagram of just the brass tacks of how it works. It's nothing new to you guys, I'm sure you already understand it. But basically, when the community feeds into artists, the artists can then feed into programs. The programs then feed the community, and so on and so forth. And I've often learned too through all these relationships with my interns, with my employers, with my friends, with strangers, that with transparency comes sympathy, intimacy, and connectivity. And as a result of those things, then comes trust, loyalty, dependability, and usually generosity. And after all those comes growth. I learned this honesty and straightforwardness as a child. I found that the more honest I was with my mom and dad, the lesser the punishment. If I broke a vase by accident or not, I got a bad grade on a test, or if I was upfront with my folks, there was more grace for my shortcomings. My sisters may not have learned this as quickly. Now, I have not discovered a secret potion to eradicate pit sweat or snoring or any revolutionary way to end poverty even. Like I said, this is probably nothing new to you. But I do think that it's a way of life that's not as employed as we think it is. If we could start more conversation, generate and connect ideas and further development, just think of what could happen. I mean, this is at the core of what Yellowcake is about. It's the main ambition of Buzz and Growl. And last time I checked, I think it's the main ambition of Clevelanders. Now, I speak from experience that I've lived with my friends, with my employers, with my interns. I listen to boyfriend drama, issues with parents at home, school trouble, college acceptances, all while sewing coats and dresses, which feeds my belly, my creativity, and my heart. No, I'm not challenging you to go all out and bear all to the pharmacist of Walgreens. I'm sure they've heard plenty worse. But I am challenging you to be courageous, to take a risk, to truly share life with your neighbors, with your friends, your family. I know mother-in-laws can be persnickety, but just try it. Try to get to know one stranger at the next event you're at. Oh, look, we're here at an event. Oh, how about that? It doesn't have to be arts related. That's just my platform, because I'm biased. This concept of honest shared living and vulnerability translates to any industry. Down with awkward silence. Now, I know it's a little bit abstract, but there is a main point here. Basically, when you invest in people and you give into people and you share life with them and you live honest, transparent lives with them, ideas can be shared, growth can happen, really strange, beautiful things happen. I myself, I think, am a true testament to that. People have spoken to me and they loved me and they cared for me with no reason to. And because of that, I've been spurred on to create the things that I've been able to do with Yellowcake, with Buzz and Growl, with everything I've done here. So in an effort to lead by example, I'll go first. Here are a few things about me that I might not otherwise tell you in an attempt to maintain some kind of porcelain image. But because I trust that some of you may relate to these things, and some of you may know someone like me even, I'm going to go for it. There's an old adage, a proverb actually, that says, a joy shared is twice the joy. And a burden shared is half the burden. So let's see what I can share for you. For one, I like ABBA. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, you're just not going to admit it. I got one woohoo. That's a secret to some and a shame to others. Sometimes, it's a big sometimes, I fart in libraries and grocery stores. But they're not noisy, and no one knows it except people around me. I lied on a job application once, right out of college. Ironic that I'm talking to you about being open and honest, but I lied on an application. And I was fired before, not because of the lying, there's another job, twice. It's a strange hope of mine that I will not outlive my parents. It just seems too painful to lose them. But if I don't, I hope that it would not be because of a shark attack or a moose accident. My biggest fear in life, besides sharks and moose, this one is a really big one, but hopefully some of you guys can relate. My biggest fear is that I will never get the opportunity to be a mom. It's just something I can't control. It's one of my biggest desires. My deepest desire is to be a mother. And I may never get to do that. I'm scared as hell of that. But probably the biggest truth that I can tell you today is that lately I have been overworked. I have pushed myself too hard. While good-intentioned I might have thought I've been, I've also possibly slighted some people. The very people I've talked about today. I've not answered every email. I've forgotten a birthday and a thank you. And in the process, I've not been as focused on the people in my life that have cared for me the most and helped me fulfill the livelihood of my dreams. So the truth is that I probably needed this talk, maybe about as much, and maybe not, maybe as more than you did. So there. I've shared my burden with all 400 some of you. So that's what? No one wants to do the math on that? That's a lot less of a burden, is what I'm saying. So it's my hope that you'll take on the challenge of creating new conversation and dialogue, having more gatherings and uttering more hellos in the elevator. I've got a couple hundred of those cups at our Yellowcake shop next door, so if you want to come grab one and start that game with someone else, you're more than welcome to. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that the greatest homage we can pay to truth is to use it. So grab your own cup, and perhaps you can start a game with someone new later. Spark a conversation. Thank you.